Alright, so like Derek said, this is the banner from the very first show and tell that was put on, where I showed Startwine, this game here. So a few months after that presentation, I released Startwine, and so it. I realized after that when it comes to marketing and certain other things, I don't really know what I'm doing. So I sent a bunch of emails to different people in the press and stuff, and no one responded at all, and no one wrote anything. I got one review from like an actual reviewer from this website called Edivate Reviews, who does these reviews on a scale of 8, and he gave my game a 5 out of 8, which sounds okay. If you look at his scale, though, it means it's a C-, and it means buy it if you really like the game, like the genre. So a lot of the user reviews were really positive, though, so there was that, but I didn't really grab a lot of attention. There were some problems with the game, and I'll come back to that later, but I was really glad to get it out there, and yeah, it was a good experience. But since the game didn't do too well, I had to get a job, so started working at Startwine Studios, which is really cool. Got to work on some neat projects like Deus Ex and Windforge, which, like Derek said earlier, is coming out on March 11th, and everyone should buy it.
Yeah. Okay.
So working, I started getting that fidgety urge to start making things again. So I started doing jams. This is a game I made with Derek at the Capital Jam. Is that what it was called?
Sure.
It's played on. It's that game with on graph paper where you have to make squares, except it's played on a 4-dimensional hypercube.
That made perfect sense.
You really didn't have to play it.
It's really confusing, but it looks cool.
It works.
This was a game I made for the Global Game Jam, where you try to stop the human race from repeatedly destroying the planet Earth.
It was cool.
This was a game that I made last Valentine's Day. And this was the game I made for the Autotron Jam.
It's coming.
Still coming. I hope so.
It's in my office. I just play Pac-Man on it right now. I'm sorry, everyone.
So back to Startwine. A year and a half ago, I decided I want to start working on it again. So when I was making the game, I think it was about the time of the first meetup 3 years ago, I had a decision to make, which was whether I wanted to do multiplayer or single player campaign. And I had this date set that I wanted to get it out because it was bugging me and I just wanted to finish the game, so I felt like I had to choose one of them, and I chose multiplayer. So the problem with that is that it makes the game less accessible to people because there's no campaign, so they have to play against the AI on skirmish matches, so it's kind of harder to get into it. So I decided I wanted to go back, add in all the things that I felt it needed, and that's what I'm doing now. So I'm going to give a bit of a history of the game, because I haven't really talked about that too much. This was the original prototype I made, which it wasn't really a game. This was something I made just in my free time while I was in university in Python, which generated these things, these random structures from L systems, which is a method of generating. It's usually used to model plant life and things like that. But I basically came up with a way to randomly generate rules which would generate these things, and it looked like this. And so a year later, I took a game development class in university, and I decided to redo this in XNA for my project and make it pretty because it was a graphics course. So that looked kind of like this. And so I had these cool structures, and I wanted to make a game out of it because this was a game development course. And so I tried to think of a way to do that. And I really liked RTS games, so I wanted to make an RTS. But I was also inspired by games like Go, which have really, really simple rules. But from those rules, it comes really deep gameplay and really complicated strategies and things. And it's like an emergent type of gameplay. And that's what I wanted to achieve. I don't think I quite reached the level of Go, but I mean, it's
The small
5,000 years old game or something. So there's some other kind of like simplified RTSs that have been launched that have been pretty cool. Like this is Euphoria. I don't know if anyone's played it, but there's kind of these planets, and you basically just send units from planet to planet, and you also make things that create units, and that's the whole game. But it's different planets have different properties and stuff, and it's a really neat game. So it's a space that's been explored, but I want to do something a little bit different. So my game is going to be played on these weird 3D structures in space, and I needed to come up with a few different units that could interact together and create an interesting game. So first one is these energy nodes, which you make these things and they collect energy for you. It's pretty simple. The second is turrets, and these things shoot at whatever is closest to them and kind of slowly grind down whatever they're shooting at and it dies. These are black holes which absorb the fire from those turrets. And if enough things start shooting at them, they get really weak and can't absorb stuff anymore, and then they can get past them. So you can build more of them and stop. It's kind of like an ongoing battle between the black holes and the turrets, which can lead to deadlocks, so there needs to be other things in there. These are defenders that basically you put them down and it stakes out kind of proximity around them, so anything the enemy builds near these things will die after they've activated. And these are missile launchers which charge up and then launch at the closest enemy structure and blow up a big amount of things. So that's basically the game, and it worked pretty well. Some of the feedback people had after it was launched was that it's easy to get into deadlocks. I don't know if anyone's played this game. It's a really good game. It doesn't have much presentation except for the name Deadlock, but it was a turn-based strategy game from the 90s where there's different alien races that are having this war over this planet, and they just decide they're each going to launch one ship onto the planet, and whoever takes over the planet wins. It's a cool game. So people would get into these deadlocks where they would have their base and the enemy base, and they would just be firing at each other and building black holes and just kind of building stuff in their bases, and the game would seem like it was never going to end. And this was a complaint I heard from a few people. And the thing is, like, if you're really good at the game, there's a whole bunch of strategies you can do. Like you can build like a new thing near them with a black hole to absorb fire, and then go behind that and shoot at them from there, and then you can take out the base doing that. But the thing is, those strategies are hard to discover, and people kind of give up before they find them, and so there's kind of like a learning curve there that a lot of people didn't hit, and because there's no mechanism to teach them that, it was a problem, which is why I decided to make a campaign for the game, to kind of like gradually introduce things one by one and teach people how to play. I had a tutorial for the game, but it was kind of as useful as a 2-page manual. So I felt like having a more engaging thing would be better. Like in retrospect, I probably should have gone with the campaign instead of the multiplayer when I was first launching, but it seemed like it was going to be harder, so I took the easy way out. There's also a story now, which is kind of weird because it's like an abstract space game. But the reason I added a story in was because I wanted, when you finish the game, to have some kind of closure, and if it's just like, you win, it's over, that's boring. So I decided there would be like an intro sequence that kind of sets things up, and an outro sequence at the end, and that's it. So it's not much of a story, but at least it's something. I just want to show you, I've also started reworking the in-game user interface, because this kind of looks like it was made by a programmer, which it was, but it's just text and looks like a command prompt, really. So the new one looks like this, which is cooler. There's icons and stuff. There's a bar up top that shows what you have selected. There's health bars around things, and there's indicators showing stuff in the background. Like if you look to the left there, it's pointing out that the enemy just built something there, which is nice because otherwise you don't really realize what's happening around you. So it's basically, it looks nicer and it conveys way more information without being obtrusive. So I've spent a lot of time on that, which I've enjoyed doing.
Do you have a demo or video or anything?
Yeah, there is a demo, but it's pretty old. It's like from when the game was released originally. But there is a demo which has the tutorial and like the difficulties, and then after that, if you get good at it, you have to buy the game. So it's still challenging. I don't know if that was the best strategy, but so I'm just going to talk about game balancing a bit. I've done a lot of that as well. So previously, you would hit kind of an income cap in the game, because once you had, I think, 12 energy nodes, the next ones wouldn't give you anything. So everyone would just kind of get those first 12 and then just stop getting income. So instead I added like a gradual fall off of that. I also made you get energy faster, so the game's way faster paced and it's easier to move around the map and be more flexible. It makes the games way more dynamic. And I've done a few other minor things that you would think are really minor tweaks, but they have a huge effect on gameplay. Especially when you have a game this simple, a strategy game that's this simple, and you change little things, it has a huge effect. The other thing I've been focusing on is the AI. So the AI is way smarter now. A lot of people playing the original game said that once they found a certain strategy that could beat the AI, it was just too easy and they could just repeat that and never lose. So I've been focusing on kind of addressing all those cases, and the AI used to originally not even make defenders at all, and now it's really good at using them, which is cool. And the most important thing I've added is lens flare. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about, like, in a serious way, how stuff like this has been slowing me down a bit. Because I have this campaign I want to get done, but then I start like, oh, I can make this one thing a little bit more pretty instead, and I spend like 2 days just tweaking things and shaders and oh, I like it this way, no, I like it that way, no, it was better before, going back and forth, and that stuff is really fun, but it's not that productive. So that's kind of an issue I'm still dealing with, but at least I don't have any deadlines, so it'll just take long.
Never tweak.
It's the most fun thing, but yeah, I have to get past it.
Pro tip. Never tweak. You're just like, oh yeah, 2.202 is so good.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really easy to get lost at that, and at a certain point you just have to say, okay, I have all these tasks in this list that I need to do, I'm going to focus on doing that instead. So because of that kind of thing, things have been going a little bit slowly for me. Also, about 5 months ago, I started working part-time at my job, so I'd have more time to focus on my own stuff like this. And I have been way less productive than I thought. It's really easy to, when you're working at home, to just kind of be lazy and watch TV shows instead of working. So I was thinking, okay, I have 2 days a week now that I can just work 8 hours a day like I was at work on my game.
That's exactly what I meant.
And instead of that, it's more like, okay, I end up working 2 or 3 hours a day, and then working a bit on the weekend too. And so it's not exactly what I thought was going to happen. I'm still trying to work on, being more diligent about that kind of thing. If anyone has any secrets, let me know. So over all this time, I started working on the new patch a year and a half ago. I've done all these user interface stuff and balancing stuff, but the most important thing is the campaign, and so far I have 1 level out of probably like 12 or something. So that's the rate I'm going at, but I'll show you what I've got so far.
Going to coffee shops.
Still an X-Night?
Yeah, it's still an XA.
Did you upgrade to high caliber?
There were too many problems with like the way I was using render targets and stuff. It would have been huge. I probably could still do it, but it would have been a really big refactor, and I just never got around to it. So for now, I'm still using XNA 3.1, I think.
Can someone play for you?
Someone could play for me.
Can I play? It's what I'm really asking.
Yeah.
Just tell me what to do, because I'm not going to know. Guide me and explain what's happening.
Before we start, I'll talk about XNA for a little bit.
Okay. I need a chair.
So XNA has been, it's really easy to get stuff working, and it's also, I feel like it's a really good development environment, but the problem I have with it, and the reason why, well, the reason I chose XNA was because I just started this for a course, and the course had to use XNA, so I didn't really have choice originally, but the problem with XNA is you're limited to Windows, and I would have really liked to get this game on other platforms, and I just couldn't do it because I did an XNA, so that's probably why I would choose something else now. So click on campaign, you'll see the awesome story.
Eric, move over.
Sorry.
Poor young pig. Loser.
I know.
I think her brother was this person next. Anyway.
Good.
So that's basically all the story you're going to get until the end of the game. I hope people are okay with that. Use the mouse to look around in WASD. So I went from the original tutorial from this game would give you pop-ups and you'd have to read them and click OK, and then it would give you instructions. And I found that a lot of people would just not read the pop-ups and then just do what it said, and they would miss all this information. So I moved to a new system where it shows all the information as you're playing in the corner, and it's kind of instructions mixed in with information, so you can't really do that anymore, which I think will be better for people actually learning how to play and not giving up on it. Hopefully they don't mind reading a little bit.
Like pulls me towards the strands.
Yes, it does. It's something you kind of have to realize. I thought about putting like a bubble telling you about that, but I feel like it's something you figure out after a few seconds.
Yeah.
For like, I mean, when Justin's playing here, it's like he can feel it pulling him because he knows when he's going and it's not.
Yeah.
When we're watching, we don't feel that because we're not controlling it
Yeah.
directly. And so to us, it's kind of like he's just moving around, but Justin feels it. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So basically, like the further you are from the strands that make up the level, the more it pulls you back towards them.
You go over how it looks.
It's so fun to fly.
I remember when you showed it in my class, and you don't even remember that. That was like way back when you were in school, and it was like, I don't know, you came into our IT program, and you were like, yeah, I'm doing this thing, and we were all just like, what? I wish we were in computer science.
Oh yeah, that was the game day at Carlton, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Did you do this music?
Yeah, I did the music.
Nice.
Are you reading the instructions?
It said build energy nodes, and you said 12 is the max, so I'm just gonna do that.
There's no max anymore, I changed that.
Oh.
But it's saying to build them at the targets. Maybe I need to like highlight things somehow.
Some build
Nobody reads
nodes.
text, especially not Justin.
I was reading a little bit.
So how would you describe this game in terms of like genre? Like what something?
I usually call it
LSD RTS.
an abstract RTS or space RTS or something like that. Or simplified. Sometimes the word simplified is in there. I don't really have a concise. I guess abstract 3D RTS is kind of.
But you're essentially, is it like you're fighting endless waves, or is it like
It's like the enemy has all the same things to do that you do. So it is like.
It's a competitive.
It's not like a tower defense. It's more like a getting StarCraft or whatever.
Okay, so there's another there's another AI in the system doing the same thing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
you're competing. How soon do you see you have to pass this tutorial to end up moving on to like fight the other guy, or?
Yeah. So in this first level, he's going to start getting attacked by things, and then he'll have to defeat them. But but there's no really AI yet. It's just kind of things appear and he's got to kill them.
Okay.
And so it's going to be kind of a gradual introduction.
So your main influence, you mentioned Deadlock, but is that, what other influences for this game?
Influences.
Deadlock was very city building. Like I
Deadlock
played
is
it.
not really an influence, I just used it because I needed to talk about Deadlocks.
What is happening here?
I would say just games with very simple rule sets and more complex strategy like Go, and then just RTSs as a whole. With the influence, I don't have like a specific game. From like the sound design standpoint, I think Osmo's was an influence on me. And the way it kind of incorporated ambient sounds and music.
No, I'm just drawing this fire.
There's a flash-based game with like where you're building nodes and you're kind of fighting constant enemies and stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me a little bit.
I think I played that like a while after my game came out and it didn't really. I don't remember what it was called.
But you're basically building nodes and collecting energy and turrets. Basically, it's kind of like tower defense, but you're surviving.
No, it's good. I think I'm gonna. It was cool. I'll show a match against the actual AI so people can see how it reacts and stuff.
Are you gonna play? You're gonna play that version?
Yeah, I'll play that version. This is way
No. It was cool. I understand again.
Is there stuff that was confusing about it?
I was confused because I haven't seen it like 3 years. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Because I think at the time when you explained it, I was like, I understand what's going on. But coming into it, I was like, it's like a tower defense on springs.
It's really good. So that kind of at the end there where it zooms in on the explosion and then zooms out and plays that like kind of pumping music is anything I added because in the original version of the game it kind of just pops up a big to your screen and you don't even see what happened. That was a common feedback I had, so I think it killed it.
So I'll just play a quick match against the AI, so you can see what a more involved game looks like. This is the level browser, so it's basically generating levels as I scroll.
Are you ever going to be able to play a map on the same level?
I guess it's limited by the number of integers. So,
But like, probably not.
so whatever max int is, that's how many levels there are.
But it's like level 1 always going to be the same level?
In the campaign, it's going to be just hardcoded levels, I think. Because otherwise it would be a lot more hard to do. And if you use the same seed, it's always going to give you the same level.
Oh, okay.
One other thing I added for this patch is different backgrounds because it kind of got stale playing on the same purple background all the time. So this is kind of just starry background. That's the purple one. There's this blue one which I like.
I have another question. Can you look at these levels and strategically see things that interest you at this point because you've been playing it long enough?
Yes.
Or are you pretty much just like, just a bunch of strings, doesn't matter?
It matters, but it doesn't matter that much, but it does matter for certain. Like there's choke points and stuff on some levels.
Like this one maybe?
Yeah, probably that you could build something there and attract fire and it would be helpful. The biggest thing that matters is the size of the level. A very small level, there's certain strategies you can't play. So I guess I'll play this level. I'm just going to start off by building nodes so I can collect energy. See the enemies kind of doing the same thing I am right now.
destroy nodes or units?
Yeah, you can destroy them with turrets, defenders, and missile launchers.
No, but can like you destroy your own? In case you're like, oh no, I filled up this area, or is that like not an issue?
Okay, you just have to kind of move on to somewhere else. So I'm gonna build kind of a thing here, just to make sure he can't hit me with the missile launcher from his base. Because otherwise he could build one that was protected and I wouldn't be able to stop him. They'd just destroy everything.
How close can you get to him? Like, is there any restriction on what your like base area is?
Can you put like turrets?
Anywhere you want. These defenders here destroy anything you build near them.
Yeah.
So you see, this is something I added. You kind of flash when you're near one, so you know if you build something there, it'll die. So you're kind of limited in that way. And originally I never built those, so it was kind of a problem.
What the fuck was that?
So he just built a missile launcher over here trying to kill me. But because it's alone and undefended, I think I can take it out.
Is there anything preventing you from just going in and building turrets all into the base?
Yeah, I can do that. He'll probably start building black holes to try and suck it up, and then attack me on his own. Right now he's attacking my base, so I gotta kind of defend.
Are there certain strands that give you more bonuses, like more energy or
I
whatever?
thought about doing that, but it's hard, like it was information that was hard to convey.
Like if you had different colored strands, and they would, one is like better for resources, one is better for defense or whatever.
Yeah, that was a concept I kind of thought about a bit, but I never actually implemented it. It would be interesting to explore.
It's a black hole. Sorry. The black holes get destroyed, or they just sort of get like overloaded and then like they stop?
They don't get destroyed by turrets anymore. That's something I kind of changed. But you can destroy them with defenders or missile launchers. So they're kind of something that builds up, but then eventually you can get sick of them and take them out.
Defenders, do they have a range? Like, what stops you from just going and building defenders in his base?
Defenders have a range, and he's usually protecting his base with defenders. So if I try to build one, it's going to die right away.
Right.
And right now I'm losing pretty bad. Just because
You're
I've
distracted.
been talking at the same time, which is okay. So he's got a whole bunch of turrets over there. Let me make this my new base for now.
I like how there's no definition of what your base is other than what you say, like it's purely in your mind.
Yeah, that's one thing that I like about it, and also one of the things that makes it less accessible.
Yes, yes.
It's more like territory in Go than a base, like in Command and Conquer.
Exactly.
Because like in a lot of RTS games, you have like much more of a lifeline to like your central unit.
Yeah.
Where this is much more like Go is a really good analogy because like Go you can just sort of like change where you're playing at any point, and there's no reference.
That was exactly the kind of thing I wanted to capture with this game.
I think you gotta have lots of videos of you playing it because this is cool to watch.
Yeah.
And you really get a better understanding of the game when you see like
What's the victory condition? You destroy
Victory
everything.
is you destroy all the energy nodes. So at that point you can't get any more energy. He's basically screwed. So
Right.
That's where the game ends.
So in a way, it's still about like territory because of the nodes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Instead of multiplayer, is it online multiplayer or is it
There's online multiplayer, but I'm not really very good at network stuff. So it's been having a lot of issues. Like the net code between people works fine, but getting them initially hooked up, I've been having problems with that.
Totally need to play this at work.
Well, it looks like as a multiplayer, like as a spectator thing, I think you pointed it out. Right? It's just trippy to watch somebody play it, right? And just thinking about the advent of like Twitch as like this kind of platform.
Yeah. Can you zoom out for a sec though? Like, if you zoom out, like you can see what's going on. Oh, that was the end. Yeah, like, but like it's you can see what's happening.
Yeah, you can.
Well, when it comes right down to it, it's a lot like watching a sport, right? Like watching a person make his moves separate from the other person and the concept of the base, right? So you could go and set up like a starting point and abandon the entire thing. That could be your own kind of strategy. And you can actually watch that as a spectator and kind of be like, oh, that's a whole new gambit, right? And I think it's really cool.
Can you destroy, like, if you have a defender and a black hole guarding a bunch of like resource nodes, how do you counter that?
So you can counter
Like,
it.
is that not like a hard protected section then?
You can counter it. The big thing to counter that is, and the reason I created it was the missile launcher. So you launch a missile at it and it blows up a huge area. You can find like a protected point and launch a missile from there. It'll blow up basically everything around the thing it's targeting. And then you can kind of go in and build a bunch of turrets and finish it off after that.
Okay, so you can like push the line, but like you can form like a hardened protected unit kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So that's something
okay.
you can do. It's something that new players have a lot of trouble with, and that's the main reason I think I need a campaign and I need to set up
Like, you got
scenarios
your,
where
like,
it's actually
teaching
teaching you how to do this, telling you to build this here.
Well,
It'll be good.
no, like and like I said already, like Go is such a good analogy because like it's really really simple, but if you don't get like sort of the meta game to Go or like some of the loose strategies, you can like you can know all the rules, but you don't understand like the implications of certain strategies.
So right now we're kind of training bases. I'm looking at that. He's destroyed my base, so I'm pretty much destroyed his.
How did you program your AI? Is it like a logic tree? Like
So when I made the original game with the assignment, it kind of just followed a set build order and did that every time. So that was really explainable. This version of the AI basically there's a whole bunch of heuristics and it's just looking at 4,000 frames a second. Like just random.
Oh, really?
And there's a bunch of heuristics and it says, okay, this is protected, so it's good. This is targeting something, so it's good. And there's a whole bunch of rules. And so based on that, it picks the best one that it's seen in the last, I think, 2 seconds. And it does that.
Huh.
So it actually works pretty well.
So it's like predicting and like
Yeah, so it creates these really dynamic games.
so like it doesn't really know what it's doing. It just like traverses the tree and is like this looks
It doesn't
alright.
care what's happening in the grass. All it cares about is what's currently going on. And I'm actually playing against this very hard AI, which cheats on resources a little bit, just because I couldn't get it quite to the level where it could beat me consistently. But I'm gonna die again, but I think this is the last game. So
How do
a
you-
good idea.
How do you feel about letting your AI cheat on resources as a game designer?
I don't like it. I wish I didn't have to. But I feel like it's really hard to make an AI that can beat a player that's super good at a game, like the developer that would be. And I wanted to have that extra level there just for people who get really good at it. Most people are not going to play against this level of AI unless they are really into the game. And hopefully at that point, if they have someone to play with, they'll start playing multi-self and have them instead. So I don't like that I had to do that, but I think it's better than having the game be too easy, right?
Yeah.
So if I can think of a way to make the AI smarter where I don't need to do it, I'll try that. That would be great. But yeah, it does hurt me a little bit.
It seems like there's like a lot of places where you can build and you kind of get a little bit confused. Like you could be building places all over the place and you're not realizing it because you're in a first-person camera. Is that a way to is that like a really the way to get an advantage if you're basically building all over the place where you have a hard time actually seeing where it's actually being built and having to chase after, like if you're just building all over the place, having to be able to be fast enough to catch him where he's going. Is that a strategy that you can
Part of what
actually
makes
use?
the game kind of difficult. I like the way the movement works in the game, although it does frustrate some people. So basically, if you have the problem keeping track of where everything is, you have to make use of the zoom out mod.
Yeah, zoom out.
And see where you are and what's going on. And that's kind of just a design decision I made.
But can you actually see the AI globe moving around and building things? I don't think I noticed that, but...
Oh, like the AI character? Yeah.
Is there an AI character moving from the level, or is it just simply things just popping up?
You don't see the AI.
Okay. So it actually doesn't travel, it just...
Yeah, the AI just knows where everything is.
In multiplayer, if you see the enemy player,
I didn't know it. And I tested it against somebody, and I found that the games were more interesting without it because you have these surprise attacks.
it's kind of like the fog of war shit, right? Like you do in StarCraft, like, oh, he's looking at my base right now.
Yeah. You see him coming, you know he's putting something, but maybe there would be interesting, okay, I'm going to set up defensive attacks to just fake me out. But from what I played for about half an hour or so, I found it was better with
I got one more AI question before I think we're going to move on. When you said like the way the heuristics work, have you thought that like maybe it becomes like a hill climbing problem where you're just finding like a local maximum, where it's like it might be in a situation where it thinks that's what that strategy, but like really like with a small dip in like success or whatever your measurable things are, like it could have a more optimal strategy, like
Something towards sacrificing the greater good.
yeah, like because that's what like sort of like hill climbing is, right?
Yeah, so there have been a lot of times where I'll tweak the AI and it'll become way better at fighting against something and then you move to something else. Right? So it's really just a constant balancing act, and it's on me to kind of think of the strategies that I can try against it and make sure that I can handle them. So it's hard to do that, but I feel like I have pretty good experience. And there probably are some defeated Tony, but I haven't enough part of it. It's working well.
That's sweet.
Any other questions?
Yeah, your sky, is it a box or is it a sphere?
So,
Or is it bright?
Skybox, I'll talk about Skybox a bit. So there's actually, I think I'll show you what the texture looks So the Skybox, it is a box with basically the same texture and different orientations on the same size. But that box, there's two boxes, and they multiply each other.
Okay.
And one of them slowly rotates. So it causes the background to kind of shift and start to
You kind of have like a parallax effect.
Yeah, and the other thing with the skybox is when you zoom out, it actually pushes the skybox a bit forward to have sort of a 3D effect, like it's not infinitely far in the distance. And you see the nebulas kind of have this weird translucent effect. So that was something I did
Go upstairs if you want to talk.
Yep, so that's basically it. If you want to, so there's a website for the game if you want to check it out. There is a demo. And if anybody wants to try out the campaign before I release it, because I'm going to need testers and feedback and stuff, that was one of the big things I didn't do enough when I initially released it.
Can we do the local multiplayer? I want to take it to work. Play with some people. For sure.
I can send you a build.
Cool. No, I'll
Well, I can send you like the updated build.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So if you want to try out the campaign, shoot me an email, and once I'm further along, I'm going to be sending out builds to people. If anyone wants to play it, they can give me their feedback, and that way I'll know if certain things are too hard or too easy, which is really hard to judge as the developer. Or if there's parts where people stumble on and can't figure out what you're supposed to do. So that's basically it.